Well, hey there, y'all. Welcome back to JoJo's Wizard of Oz files. Today's case, the Tin Man. He says, I haven't got a heart. I say, honey, you got so much of a heart that you rusted shut. Picture it, a dark, creepy forest. Dorothy and the Scarecrow are creeping through the trees when they hear a faint little oil can. They find a man made entirely of tin, stuck mid-axe swing, frozen in place like the world's saddest lawn ornament. Dorothy oils his joints, and as he unfreezes, he tells his story. He used to be a flesh-and-blood woodcutter who fell in love, but by some unfortunate events, he ended up being replaced entirely by tin. And somewhere along the way, as far as he's concerned, his heart went missing. Now this is obviously Metaphor City. You got a man whose job is to cut things down, whose body completely turns to metal, who decides that because he's been hurt and changed that he must be incapable of love. Sir, I hate to break it to you, but that's not heartlessness. That's trauma with a shiny finish. Tin Man's whole introduction is a long, woe-is-me story about not being able to feel. But yet, what does he do the second that Dorothy mentions sadness? He starts crying. He cries so much, in fact, that his tears cause him to rust, and he freezes up again. If I only had a heart, he sobs, while he's experiencing emotions so intense that it shuts down his mobility. That's not a lack of heart. That's feelings so powerful that they interfere with muscle function. Tin Man's out here weeping in the world, insisting that he's emotionally dead. That's just detachment, sugar. That's just denial with a side of squeaky joints. Now let's talk about distinction. There's a big difference between not feeling emotions and not knowing how to make it through them safely. What the Tin Man has decided is that he can't feel because he's lost his heart. But what we see is that he cares about the other's safety. He panics when danger appears. He's deeply insecure about his work, and he is terrified about losing connections again. These are the stats of somebody who's been hurt, armored up, and now mistakes his armor for his identity. Numbness often isn't the absence of feeling, it's the body's way of saying, this is too much. Let's shut a few systems down before we short circuit. Now, the pop quiz. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm just heartless, I don't do feelings, or I'm not a romantic person? And then a minute later, they're defending their friend like a rabid raccoon. Tin Man is the archetype of that person who labels themselves heartless because that sounds better than I have no idea how to handle my emotions without breaking down. He believes that no heart means problem solved. His capacity to be hurt again is over. In reality, no heart is just a story he tells to make his pain sound tidy. Remember that when someone says they have no heart, pay attention to what they cry about, because that's where their heart is. Fast forward to the Emerald City. The Tin Man stands there desperate while the wizard rummages through his bag of theatrical nonsense and pulls out a heart-shaped clock. The wizard says, you don't need a heart, you just need this. Tin Man clutches at it like it's an organ transplant and feels better immediately. Now, did that little beating clock create compassion? No, ma'am. It gave him permission to believe that the feelings that he already had counts. So what did we learn from the Tin Man's file, besides the fact that you should never leave your boyfriend in a rainstorm? First, calling yourself heartless is often just a costume for being deeply sensitive. And third, little rituals and tokens like little heart-shaped clocks can help us to own what's already there, but they are not the source of our humanity. If you've ever said, I'm done feeling, or my heart's just gone, or I'm all out of love, I gave it all away, I want you to ask, do certain things still move you? Do you still care about safety and beauty? Do you still hurt when someone you love hurt? If the answer was yes, then congratulations. You're just a Tin Man who's been standing in the rain too long. What you need is a safe place to cry without rusting alone, and some people who don't ask you to chop down your own feelings for their convenience.